Yo, this is WSoul13 bringing you Raid Shadow Legends. So today we're going to be talking about the Void Champ Rebalance. So let's just get right into it. No waste no time. Physics is good now. Great, right? So now her A1 is going to go from 10% decreased turn meter to 15%. Times 2 is 30. Armiger level. Everybody knows Armiger is great. She's now at least as good as Armiger if you get these books up. So unfortunately, 11 books, and she's gonna need all the books to reach her kind of like her full potential. But she's kind of like a Armiger Sylar hybrid now. Her A2 is very Sylar-esque. It decreases speed, but it's a hit, so it works with. It will work with stun set. And also, instead of shield, she's going to be spreading an ally protect for your whole team. And then her A3 is going to go from a single target to a AoE provoke. Also, instead of ally protect, she's going to get the shield now, right? So if you put in the 11 books on her, she is better than Armiger for places like Fire Knight, spiders, you know. The flip side of that is you won't be getting her till month 9. So by that time, you might already be done with those dungeons, right? So we are getting stage 25 dungeons though. So she could play into that later on if we need a control / carry type champ in that part of the game. And like Sylar, she is amazing in Doom Tower, right? So nothing else has changed. I think her aura will stay the same. Yep. Which is Ally Faction War aura. Kind of unfortunate, but that's fine. I think she is much more playable now, right? And getting to that 9-month login doesn't feel as bad, I think, now. Although you could argue Syl is still better, which is true. Syl is still better. But I think Physics can find a spot in your team now. In Doom Tower teams, in Stage 25 dungeon teams, Stage 20 dungeon teams, things like that. Good buff for me. Let's talk about whirling. So let's talk about my boy Lich King, or what's his name? Is it Ner'gul? Nazgul? Ner'gul? Something like that, from the Frozen Throne. I feel like Raid takes inspiration from Warcraft a lot. And Frost King is definitely up there in terms of taking inspiration. Let's take a quick look. So his A1, everybody hated pulling whirling, by the way. 2 reasons for that. One is he is actually the Lego you get for buying the premium version of the first and only battle pass we've ever gotten, which to this day is still the value loaded offering Raid has ever given. There's hasn't been an offering ever since that has matched battle pass, in my opinion. I think that was the best thing Raid has ever sold. In fact, my original plan to break F2P was I was going to buy Battle Pass 2 if Battle Pass 2 ever came out. It never came out, which means that most likely Battle Pass 1 didn't make the money. And one of the reasons why it probably didn't make them as much money is because some people were underwhelmed with whirling and maybe just the timing of it. I don't know. But whirling with this buff, if you bought the Battle Pass, you're actually getting extra value, because now you have a champ that's a lot better, right? And if you didn't buy Battle Pass and you happen to pull whirling, I think it feels less bad now. Here we go. A1 will always give value now, because before it's based on freezing, placing the freeze buff to where the perfect veil effect will trigger. Now the perfect veil effect will always trigger and will just go on an extra turn if you get an enemy frozen. So that's great that A1 is now more value packed. As far as A2 goes, They're adding decreased accuracy on this. All right. Oh, so you do have increased crit damage as well. Oh, wow, that's really, really good. Did I take that away? No, they didn't take the. So you still keep your increased crit damage, but then you lower enemy crit damage by 30. But now on top of that, you're decreasing their accuracy as well. 50% accuracy decrease. Wow, that's really strong. So I think the last line here is what takes him from kind of decent to maybe really playable, or maybe really good even. And that line says debuffs cannot be resisted from A2. So the A2 debuffs are going to go on no matter what. You don't have to build them with accuracy. Even for the A1 freeze. I mean, freeze is great, but it's not a quintessential debuff that you really need to put with your A1 anyway, since it's a lower percentage chance of triggering in the first place. Plus, you always get value now with a Veil. I think building him without accuracy is the way to go. And that can, you know, you can make him tankier, you can make him hit hard. And this one, the armor skill right here, giving you both increased defense and strengthen at the same time. The cooldown is going down to 5 turns from 6. So -2 from the 2 books you put there. I think you're looking at a really strong 3-turn cooldown protection effect, right? So whirling becomes kind of like a protection carry champ now, with some control elements because of the decreased accuracy. So enemy teams will not be able to put their debuffs on you. That's really strong. It could be strong for arena defense. It's definitely good for Doom Tower. You can easily put him in like resistance based Doom Tower teams if you want. So I think he's a lot more playable now. Finally, the aura is getting changed to 40% increased death for Doom Tower only. My opinion on that is it's very hard to replace Drextar's plus 75 accuracy aura. So, you know, any kind of aura has to be for Doom Tower. Okay, so we're talking Doom Tower here. So for Doom Tower, it's kind of hard to beat that aura. Plus 75 accuracy is a huge aura. You know, and Drexstar honestly has kind of like catapulted into like one of the premier legendaries for F2P low spender because of just how useful he is for Doom Tower and spiders, you know, and everywhere else in the game. But yeah, the second one, we're not leaving this page because it's another Night Rev. So there are two kind of like not so good Night Rev Void Legos. I only have one Void Legendary, so I'm playing like what, 15 months now? 16 months now. I think I'm on month 16 now. And I only pulled one Void Legendary from a Void Shard. So you can just imagine how bad it felt to pull one of these Void Legos, you know, that we've talked about so far, before the buff. Now after the buff, it's not, you know, it's not like the best Void Lego pull, but definitely they're a lot playable now, a lot more playable. Soulless has always been playable though, but his application is very narrow in like mostly arena, and then maybe faction wars if you're really stuck at stage 21. He could be your out there because he can help you with the Valkyrie waves. So really what they're doing here is they're just changing up his base stats. Big speed bump from 87 to 97, so definitely a lot better on the speed front of things. Defense is going up slightly while attack is going up down slightly, right? And then to compensate, I think they're gonna change some of the multipliers on his A2 and A3. So let's just go through the skills real quick. A1 is a stun. A2 is, this is the one that you're going to use against the Valkyrie wave. So it's a 3-time random attack, and it can remove a buff and place a provoke buff on top of the opponent instead. So actually it's really, really good, especially against the Valk waves. And then the last one is a AoE provoke buff. AoE? Yeah, AoE provoke buff. Yep. That also increases the duration of all debuffs. Does this include... I'm not sure if this includes the control debuffs. If it does, then that's pretty strong, actually. So, you know, Soulless, I think if you had him in your vault before, there's not going to be much reason for you to bring him out of the vault. So, I'm not so sure the buff hit the mark with that one, I think. But he's definitely better now. If you've been using him, you know, I think you're getting a lot more value out of him right now. So the next one we're going to be looking at is Exemplar. Oh, one of the less aesthetically pleasing champs, I think, that Raid has made. Okay, so this is where the big change happens. The A1, instead of just placing an extra hit, so I think this goes from a 1-hit, from a 2-hit to a 3-hit attack. If you crit, it's going to increase a target skill cooldown by 2 turns, and if the target is under a weakened debuff, it will increase the skill cooldown to maximum. So 1 skill, right? Yeah, it's 1 skill, but on an A1 and practically guaranteed every time you crit. So the way I look at it is, I think basically everything else hasn't really changed. The weaken, you're just getting a better chance of placing it, but it's actually already pretty decent because she's better against the bosses than waves anyway, and you're hitting 3 times, right? Each hit has a 50% up to 75% of putting that weaken up, so you're most likely putting that weaken up anyway, even before the buff. But maybe you can save some books there, right? If you're not after the cooldown. And then the other one is this third one, which puts a freeze, I think, and a block cooldown debuff. That cooldown is getting decreased on extra turns, so you can cycle this up to 3 turns now. So on paper, it seems like the perfect champ to put in for Eternal Dragon, right? But the thing is, with Eternal Dragon, a lot of the comps, especially like from normal Doom Tower, you don't really need to take advantage of that enemy cooldown opportunity with the Eternal Dragon to beat him. You're really focused more on sustain, on like control of the ads, right? So you need a champ that can put the ads down repeatedly, quickly, at the same time keep your team alive, right, while you slowly burn out Eternal Dragon with Drexstar. That's basically the end game strategy of it. And while decreased cooldown is enemy cooldown stuff is good, you know, you'll need to find a spot for that in your team. So that means one less sustain champ, you know, that could be Doom Priest or Syl, right? So it really depends on your team comp a lot. I think Exemplar is gonna stay in the vault for most people, I think. Rowan, is she Sacred Order or Battle Lords? No. Wow, Godseeker's so good. Wouldn't you just love to pull a freaking Godseeker? I know I would. Yeah, that's it, Rowan. So Rowan, what happened to her was, I think this A3 is going up to a 100% if booked out chance of placing poison on each hit. So that's a 4-hit poison move, right? Accuracy aura in faction crypts only. Darn, if that was like an all battles aura, I think she'd be a great like level 50 type champ. You can put in a early faction war team, early clan boss team, I mean. So here's the deal. As far as top poisoner goes, she still doesn't really make the mark for me. One, her A1 places a heal reduction, which kind of sucks because it takes up a debuff spot in the debuff bar of the clan boss. And then 2, stun doesn't work on clan boss. So, you know, it's good, I guess, if you're going up on dragons to have that extra stun on her A2, just an extra utility skill for the waves, so she can make it to the boss stage, you know. So if you don't really have a good poisoner and you did pick Kale, I mean, come on. If you're F2P low spender and you read up on the game, you should pick Kale, right? But if you did pick Kale for whatever reason, then maybe she finds a spot in your team. As of right now, I think this doesn't really change that much for her, in my opinion. So let's take a look at Ogre. I think it's Ogre. And it's definitely our boy Towering Titan. So for Towering Titan, he is a HP based champ that does damage based on attack. Horrible, yes, I don't know why they do this, but I guess now they can count it a buff, right? So now they buffed him, by saying all his skills are based on HP now. Whoopee. So let's take a look. What does he do? A1, decreased defense. That's a strong A1. Very strong A1. A2, oh, it's always been strong, but now it's going to hit hard, right? A2, well, theoretically it's going to hit hard. Let's see. A2 is 4 attacks at random, places a provoke. And now what they're going to do is, if this hits the same champ, the second hit will also trigger the provoke if the first hit missed. You know, not much of a buff. I mean, this could have easily just been an AoE, right? And then also this bullish vitality could also easily have been a team shield instead. But no, what they did was the shield is going up an extra turn. The increased defense is still on all allies for 2 turns. But now you get an extra turn, which means that increased def is actually going down a turn on Towering Titan in particular. And then you're receiving the provoke damage. You know, you're kind of like running through the increased def buff, so it's a little bit counterproductive with the extra turn here. I'm not really sure that really makes him better, but extra turn does means that this particular skill cooldown is going down. What is it? 5 turns minus 1, 4, minus the extra turn, 3. So it's effectively a 3-turn cooldown. And then the first, this A2 becomes a 2 to 3 turn cooldown, right? Because of the extra turn. Every 3 turns, I think. Every 3 turns you get an extra turn. Yeah, so this becomes a 2 to 3. So, I think he is still not great. A little better. Still not great. He is a control champ, per se. Control / carry champ. But still, I think not good enough to really be like your go-to control or carry champ, right? So he doesn't do either role particularly well, in my opinion. And the buff didn't really change that. Let's take a look at our girl, Swai Firstborn. I think she's one of the first Void epics I ever gotten. So what did they do? Well, Utter Rampage. So let's take a look at her skills real quick, okay? Alright, so attacks one enemy, 50% chance of placing decreased def. That's great. 50% chance, okay, places 50% increased attack buff. And 30% crit damage buff on this champion for 2 turns if this attack kills an enemy. Okay, I mean, you know, it's a snowball effect, right? It caps out at 50% on placing the decreased def though, so, you know. She is great for Unkillable Clan Boss. I have seen her in Unkillable Clan Boss comp, so she's good there. Utter Rampage. This one is getting reworked. So right now what it does is attack one enemy, attacks all enemies with a second hit if the first hit is critical, so you need 100% crit rate. 80% of the damage of the first hit. Okay. This attack will always be a normal hit. So what does it do now? Now, it just goes straight attack all enemies, so it's dealing less damage. So one of the reasons why they have her on the unkillable teams is because of the damage, right, that she puts out. But I think she'll be dealing less damage now And then she'll be putting AoE decrease attack instead. And what is this? It looks like it can go up to 20, well, 100% chance to play. So they're gonna be changing all those levels right there to include the buff improvement, buff placement improvement chance. And then for deaden reactions, this cooldown's just going down an extra turn, so from 5 to 4. And then before attacking, you place the weaken debuff. So it's weaken and decreased death on one champ, always strong. You're getting a little less damage on that A2, and honestly, if you were using her for unkillable clan boss, it doesn't make her less useful. Doesn't make her useless there. She's probably still gonna output the same damage. The problem now is though she's gonna be taking up an extra debuff slot on the debuff bar with this decreased attack, which you don't want on unkillable comps. But Fane does it, and Fane is constantly a top DPS champ. So if you're using her there, probably you're still gonna use her. But I think doesn't really make a difference for me. So now here we go, Broadmoor. So this one is an important one because we can all fuse him. And now with the rares being available in the bazaar, anybody can get access to Broadmoor, right? So is Broadmoor now a stronger carry, or maybe even a premier carry in a game? Let's see. So first, Ice Blast, 25% of freeze. I think this hasn't changed. Nope, no change there. Next, Gift. So for Gift, what's happening with Gift is fill ally turn meter by 15%. Oh wow. So now you're getting increased crit rate, increased speed, and increased turn meter. That is a game changer right there. That turns him into a pretty legit speed booster now. All right. Speed booster with revive. That's pretty good. What's the next one? Resurrect. So Resurrect. Okay, Resurrects 2, always good. And this one is going down from 7 turns to 6 turns, which means this could be a 4th turn cooldown. Huh. All right. And then the aura is increase allied def in arena battles. Okay, they're switching it over to faction wars. So Lizardmen faction wars, definitely for sure, is there. I think they did change this, the A1, from 25% to 35% of placing the freeze debuff. Okay, so freeze on A1 is good, but it's not, it's like I said, it's not the be all end all of raid things, right? So it's good to have, nice to have. So stronger overall. Wow, I think Broadmoor is up there now. If you combine Broadmoor with someone like Haikatoon, maybe, you can cycle those increased speed buffs amongst with each other. There's nothing really wrong with playing 2 speed boosters. You do have the redundancy of having the speed buff kind of like overlap, but still I think they can be playable together for a dungeon, and then also you get the increased crit rate. I like it. I think Broadmoor is a lot better now. For faction wars, for sure, Broadmoor is a shoo-in. You should definitely play him for faction wars if you don't have Skull Lord Valgal, my boy, who got me through Faction Wars 21. Meme Lord. But yeah, Broadmoor is sweet now. I like Broadmoor right now. Birdle. Fellhammer. From the dwarves. Let's take a look at what our boy does. Which one is he? See this one? There we go. Ooh. Very fell face. Alright, so let's see what happened here. So defense is increased and HP is decreased. He is a attack-based champ though. Interesting. Why did they do that? Interesting, very interesting. So, and And scrolled axe, what does it do now? Let's see, is it this one? Yes, it's the A1. So the A1, what it does now will be, what does it do now? Heal reduction. Okay, each hit has a 30% chance of putting the heal reduction on. After this, the upgrades is gonna put it up to 10 plus 10 plus 10, 60%. Wow. Instead of a top of 40%, it's gonna be a top of 60% per hit. You know, Spirit Keep, I guess. If you're really hard up on that stage, you can put him there. Next one, Fey Protection. Okay, what does it do? Attacks an enemy 3 times, shield buff on this champ. Okay, so shield based on damage dealt, not bad. So what does it do now? 75% chance of decreased death. If the target is under heal reduction. Ah, okay. What's this third one do? It's a passive. Counter attack. Oh, okay. So he'll always counter attack. Start of each round. Okay. So he'll always have counter attack up. And then 32% attack on dungeons. He's okay. I don't know if any of these buffs are actually kind of like meant for PvE content on the opposing side, like the enemies get a buff, right? So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where that leads us later on. We're gonna have to wait and see there. But I say Burdell is still not that great. So Whisper. Let's see what happens with Whisper. So Whisper, I think, was an Amazon drop back then. Unfortunately for me, I missed Ultimate Gaelic on that Amazon drop. Darn. Unlucky. But what do we got? Softening Drive. Effect added. Will also place a 30% crit rate buff on this champion. Oh, okay. So her A1 will put a crit rate buff. So now, I think you only need to bring her up to 70% crit rate, which is always good. More crit damage, right? And then we're looking at Unyielding Fury next. So let's look at this one first. Let's take a look at that first. What does it do? So attacks an enemy can put weaken up. Okay, and then the next one is attacks an enemy. You get an increased attack buff if the target has a higher HP. Okay, so that's good against clan boss or any boss. And then ignore death. Oh wow. Ignore all the death? I wonder why they never tested Whisper out in Doom Tower Hard as an assassin champ. Interesting. Ignore death. Was that all the death? Wow. I don't know. I don't know why no one's tried it. Maybe it's not as good as I'm thinking. Unyielding Fury. Attacks one enemy twice, grants an extra turn if the target is under decreased death and weaken. Well, you know, I guess that's okay. Grants extra turn if both decreased death and weaken are on. Okay, so 4 turn cooldown. So it's becoming a 4 turn cooldown, yeah, because it's going down from 6 to 5, and then you get a cooldown from books. Attack aura in dungeons. So yeah, Whisper is stronger, I guess. You can build her to be to hit a lot harder with the permanent. I think the crit rate buff is gonna practically be permanently on her, especially if you have things like ally attack or things like counter attack up. I think she's pretty good. She can put weaken on, and she can also put. Oh, she can't put. Can she? No, she can't put the decreased death on. So she has to partner with a champ that can put decreased defense on. Or maybe even both, actually. So she doesn't even have to worry about that A1 landing. So that's it. That's my breakdown of what I think about the new champs. See y'all next time.